You would probably argue that a referendum in some sorts has already begun. Your party has enjoyed some significant surge in support recently. But when it comes to a referendum, it is very difficult, just picking up on some of the comments of Lord Heseltine, to find a question that would work and to get all the necessary information across to the public so they can make a responsible vote on Britain's future in the EU.
Well, the reality is that Lord Heseltine is one of those politicians who 40 years ago quite deliberately, openly lied to the British people about what the common market was really going to be. And ever since then, he's advocated us getting ever more deeply involved. He wanted us to join the euro. He is perfectly happy for almost all of our laws to be made in Brussels. And he doesn't want a referendum. He's putting pressure on the Prime Minister not to promise a referendum because he fears what the public will say. And this argument that, wouldn't the world be an uncertain place? The world's an uncertain place whether you're inside the European political union or outside the political union. After all, we've got 17 members of the Eurozone who have now openly said, using the F word, federal, that they are moving on to build a new state. And we've got to have a big fundamental decision, not on the minutiae of detail, but a big fundamental decision. Do we want to be part of an organisation that is heading towards full federation, or don't we? So really, I think the question's very easy. It's in or out.
And do you think the public can grasp what that means if we're out?
Well, I think what it means in democratic terms, do you wish to govern your own country or be governed from elsewhere? And in economic terms, well, my side of the argument will say, look, Mercedes will want to go on selling their cars in Britain. Europe has a massive trade surplus with this country, and business will go on as normal. The other side will argue that there'll be threats to foreign and direct investment and that Europe is a vital marketplace for us. All I would say to all of that is we're living in a global economy, and important though Europe is as a marketplace, it is now down to 38% of our exports and likely to fall further. And the UKIP argument is we must embrace the rest of the world for trade, not just Europe.
But hang on a minute. I mean, if you put yourself into the mind or into the shoes of a businessman who wants to set up a factory in the UK, and there's all this talk about Britain putting out of the European Union right now, why would he want to set up a factory in a country that could sever its ties, its economic and marketing ties, with the rest of Europe? That's the point Lord Heseltine's making.
Well, I think the point Heseltine is trying to make, but getting it wrong, is that we do not need to be in a political union in order for companies and consumers in this country to do business with the rest of Europe. Outside the European Union, there are nearly 50 trade agreements that the EU has with other parts of the world. They are not bound by the rules. They are not part of that union. That is how business operates. And this is this deliberate attempt to say that you can't do business unless you're in political union. Frankly, it is nonsense.